Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the 11 a.m. webinar. And you might be wondering why I'm saying it like 11 a.m., but usually I'm just waking up. So I think that says something about my current quarantine schedule. It's not been very healthy, but it is what it is. I'm not complaining. So for those of you who know me, if anyone joins, I hope so. Hello, it's nice to see you again. And for those of you who have never met me, because maybe you love the morning webinars and I do not do the morning webinars, I'll give a really quick introduction about myself, and it will be great if you introduce yourselves to me. Because I love getting to meet you guys, and also it just makes my job a lot more fun when there are actually students there. So my name is Jadene. I am 25 years old. I'm a baby. And I am from London in England. I moved to Milan in October, which I think now is 7 months ago. And it has been a very strange time because, well, I think you know why. There is this virus, there is the quarantine, everything is crazy. Hi, Federico. Yay. It's nice to meet you. You are from Rome. What do you do? Do you work? Do you study? What have you been doing during the quarantine? Do you have any hobbies? I want to know everything. Yeah, that was basically it about me. Today we are doing the focus activity called Paradise on Earth. So as I'm sure you know, paradise is like this amazing place, kind of like heaven, kind of like a utopia, which is also a great word. A utopia is like a perfect place, perfect society, perfect world. And the opposite of that is a dystopia, which I always spell wrong. But I will spell it possibly correctly and send it to you. Yeah, I just thought this was a nice topic to choose. Because I think especially now with the quarantine, maybe we've all been feeling a bit kind of down and in need of some dreaming, some different kind of lifestyle. So I thought we could talk about really nice places. And okay, so Federico is studying at the university in Rome, I'm guessing. What do you study? I'm always curious to know. So while I wait for that answer, I'll let you know our objectives today. So in this focus activity, we will be talking about paradise destinations. We will be looking at some destination reviews, and maybe if there's time at the end and you want to, you can write me a review. And we will also be looking at colloquialisms to describe places. And if you're not entirely sure what a colloquialism is, it's just like an informal language or like a kind of slang way to say something. Oh, cool. So I'm studying aerospace engineering. a small error with the spelling, but it may have been a typo. So engineering, I've just put in the comments. At the University of Turin, but now I'm at my parents' house. Okay, nice. I've not been to Turin yet. I would like to go. So you are actually from Rome, which is interesting because I have a problem when I try and speak Italian. I cannot roll my R's, so I cannot do the double R. For example, in the word terra. And I heard that in Rome, you also don't do the double R. So maybe I should leave Milan and go to Rome and people will laugh at my terrible Italian less. Maybe. And I can see we have another viewer, so introduce yourself in the comments. More viewers. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, I hate giving the webinars alone, and I especially hate it when there are less students. I love getting to speak to my students. So yeah, please let me know a bit about you. And moving on. So we have, hey Tiziana from Venice. How are you today? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, actually. So we're talking about paradise and paradise on earth, and we were just saying that paradise is like an amazing, perfect place, right? So we have some questions that I hope you can all see. Let me know if the screen is too small, and I can make it bigger. The question number one, and while I read them, I'm going to answer them as well, but I hope you guys can answer them in the comments for me. So what springs to mind when you hear the phrase paradise on earth? So what do you think of? What is the first thing you think of? Do you think you've ever seen a paradise on earth? And if you have, describe it. And have you heard of any holiday destinations which are renowned for being idyllic? So again, renowned is just famous, and if something is idyllic, it's perfect. So have you ever heard of this holiday destination? Is there anywhere you would like to go that you think will be perfect? And also, what is your definition of perfect? Because I know maybe my definition, what I want, is a bit different to somebody else's version of paradise. Tiziana says, I'm coming back home from work at 11 in the morning. That's insane. What do you do for work, Tiziana? Do you work in a hospital? Because this is one of the only jobs I can think maybe that people are still doing, and where you would come home so late. Or do you have like in the UK at the moment, we're calling them key worker jobs, so essential workers? I'd be really interested to know. Okay, so while I wait for you guys to tell me all about your paradises, for me, what springs to mind when I hear the phrase paradise on earth? Honestly, probably just somewhere that hasn't really been touched by people. I'm very glad to be a person and to be alive and everything, but yeah, I think probably people have kind of ruined the earth. So when I think about a paradise, I just think of somewhere very green, very natural, really no people there. But also I hate bugs. So like small mosquitoes, flies, beetles. So also my personal paradise would probably be in a jungle somewhere, but just without any bugs, which I know is impossible, but I hate them. They're horrible. Federico says, my bed is my personal paradise. That's probably my second. I think that's my second dream place. But maybe I'm seeing a bit too much of my bed right now. Maybe. But no, I'm kidding. I think about a mountain in a complete silence. So, or in complete silence is the phrase we would use. Don't forget that complete silence. Completely. Usually words that end in ly are adverbs. And we use adverbs to describe verbs or adjectives, but silence is a noun. So we can just use a regular adjective to describe this noun. So usually I think about mountains in complete silence. Yeah, actually, that's true. That's probably nicer as well, because when you're on a mountain, you have the fresh air. You've probably got snow, but also mountains just look amazing. So you've got this incredible view. Do you go to the mountains often? Do you ski? I know in Italy, lots of people tend to go on mountain holidays. So is this paradise somewhere you've actually been? Or is it just something that you would like? And yes, Tiziana works in a hospital. Okay, amazing. Well, well done for I'm sure all of your hard work in this period. Everyone really appreciates it. Definitely. But your paradise, I can imagine, is not to be in a hospital. She says, my paradise could be an island without people. So don't forget, person is an irregular noun. So the plural of person is people. But yeah, it's the same. And isn't it sad? Because probably and definitely being in the quarantine for me, I miss all of my friends. I miss my family. I do miss seeing people. But whenever you think of like this beautiful kind of dream place, there's no one else there. And I don't know why. Or maybe just your friends. Maybe an island, only a couple of friends. Federico, I love hiking paths. Don't forget plural. If we're talking about more than one or in general, we always use the plural. As long as the noun is countable, which paths is. And climbing, but mostly during the summer. Oh, I like to climb too. Well, I like to boulder, even though I haven't been in a really long time, and I'm so bad at it. But it's really cool. It's like a nice personal challenge, and it's great for your body as well. It kind of works out everything. Recommend it. Okay, so we've also got questions 2 and 3. So do you think that you have ever seen a paradise on Earth? And if you have, describe it to me. And also, I want to point out I think a grammar error in this slide, which is usually when we talk about Earth, the planet, as a noun, or as a proper noun, we capitalize it. So if you're talking about the planet, we capitalize it. And if you're talking about earth of the ground, so earth is another word for like soil, mud, etc., then this is with a lowercase e. So just something small. Yeah, and the third question, have you heard of any holiday destinations which are renowned for being idyllic? So for the second question, I don't know if I've ever seen a paradise on Earth. I have been to a lot of really cool places. I'm very lucky. I've been to definitely parts of Asia, which look incredible. In Southeast Asia, where you've got lots of hills, lots of rice paddies, less people. It's so green and lush. Also, going to beaches in places. I remember I did a big trip across Australia, and you go to lots of kind of coastal areas by the sea where people don't really go, and it's kind of unspoiled, and they look great. But I don't know if I've ever seen somewhere that's perfect or that I think is paradise. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I think many places are kind of paradisey. I'm not very good at answering this question. So if someone could help me, that would be great. And the third question, have you heard of any holiday destinations which are renowned for being idyllic? Probably. I think you hear a lot about kind of maybe the British Virgin Islands or Mauritius, these places where people are supposed to go for their honeymoons. And, the sand is white and soft, and, the sun is there all the time. The water's really clear. But again, I don't know if that would be my perfect place. If anyone reads or likes to read, there is a really famous book, which later was made into a film. And that book is called The Beach. And the film is also called The Beach. It has Leonardo DiCaprio in it. So maybe you've seen it, but I recommend the book because it's all about this beach, this island, which also seems to be like a paradise, and it's really interesting. But if anyone has read it, I'm interested to know if they agree that the island in the beach is supposed to be a paradise, or if they think something else. So Federico says, yes, once in Abruzzo, after we climbed a mountain, we found a little group of houses. Remember, more than one, we make it plural. On the top near a lake, there is a specific word for this type of house. Are you talking, what is special about the house? Is it the location? That it's near a lake? Because in English, we call houses on a lake house. Actually, it's very simple. But I don't know if you mean there's something special about the structure of the house. If so, let me know. But that's nice. Actually, you remind me, once I was in, where were we? I think Vietnam. I went with my mum, and we did a trip to some islands, which were beautiful. And on the way, there were houses, whole kind of societies of people, but the houses were floating, so on the water. And these people fish. They are kind of like fishing villages, but literally they live on the water. And all of their houses float. They can just move them around. It's a bit crazy because the weather as well in Vietnam is not always the most stable. So I cannot imagine what they do in the monsoon season, but really strange. Hello, Lisa. Welcome. So she says Hawaii looks like paradise. Probably, I agree. There's lots of nature there, lots of volcanoes. But again, it's very westernized. Now, there are so many people. It's a state of America. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me, paradise would be a little more low-key, but I would love to go to Hawaii. And Federica says refuge. So a refuge is somewhere that someone goes to seek safety. So often people fleeing countries of war. And I'm sure you get lots of them here in Italy, but all over Europe. These people that come and claim asylum become refugees because they are people who are seeking safety. So I don't think, okay, YouTube won't let me write this. But yeah, so a refuge is somewhere where people can seek safety. So I don't think that this is synonymous with the lake house. Maybe, I don't know the definition of every word, but I'm pretty sure that that's not the one. I'll try and think as we continue the lesson and see if I can remember a different word. Yeah, okay. And finally, if anyone has any other answers for number 3, have you heard of any holiday destinations which are supposed to be idyllic? Let me know. And I'll move on, but I'm really eager to hear your comments. I can see a lot more of you have joined us. Please introduce yourself, interact. These lessons or these webinars are for you. So if you have any questions or you want to contribute, please do. Okay. Okay, so now we have some more questions. What makes a place paradise? So for you, what makes a place a paradise? Which of these are the most important in making a destination idyllic? So we have the atmosphere, experiencing a new culture, the landscape, things to do, and monuments, museums, and tourist attractions. So the first word, I just want to remind you all, the atmosphere is, of course, the air around us and the space, the physical atmosphere. But atmosphere can also mean like the vibe of a place, the way the people are, the environment. Is it a good, happy environment, or is it like an uncomfortable, awkward environment? Great, I've got some more comments. So in Italy on the mountain, you can find the refuge where people can rest after they climbed. During the path, I mean. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So in this case, it's kind of, I feel like it can be a refuge because people are tired from the climb, so they have to find somewhere, maybe not to seek safety, but somewhere where they can just rest and relax. Yeah, okay, refuge works here. And Tiziana says, I've been to the Canary Islands, and it's a paradise, but there are too many people. Yes, I agree. I've also been to the Canary Islands. It's crazy because the world is so big and so beautiful. But definitely, I think, and I'm from London as well, so I'm so used to having people everywhere. And for me, when I'm in somewhere that's really busy or a really crowded area, I hate it. I just hate it. I love to have physical space around me. But yeah, usually if there is one beautiful place, other people also know about it. So it's a downside, but what can you do? But yeah, so just a few grammar points. So remember, if we're talking about going or having been somewhere, we usually say go to, been to, and always think of to like direction. So we go to a place. We don't go in a place, which I know is slightly different to Italian, but we always go to a place. And also don't forget, we use too many for something we can count, and too much for nouns we cannot count. So we can count people, we can say one person, two people, three people. So just in this case, we would say that there are too many people. Okay, so Federico, and thank you guys for the interaction. I love it. For me, the atmosphere is important. Don't forget, we usually in English always stick to the subject, verb, object. So the atmosphere is the subject of the sentence. For me, the atmosphere is important. And also, if I can find new culture. Yeah, I agree. So what kind of things do you like? Like what for you is a positive atmosphere? For me, I definitely like the atmosphere. I like somewhere, or it's important anyway, I like somewhere that's relaxed, where it doesn't feel like you're in a rush. Like I said, I'm from a busy city. I've always lived in cities, and it always feels like people are in a rush all the time. And I do get bored very easily, but I think having this kind of rushing mentality can be really stressful. So I'd like to go somewhere that is completely relaxed. And definitely, I love learning about new cultures, but I think for traveling, I like to learn about new cultures and different cultures and see how different people live. I think in my paradise, yeah, like I said, I don't think there are any people in my paradise. I think it's just me, maybe in the jungle or me in some mountains. But things to do, like I said, I get bored. So I would love it if, there are lots of nature things to do, hiking, swimming, climbing. But yeah, the last one, monuments, museums. Again, I like these from normal destinations. I like to go to museums. I like to look around cities, but my dream place is, more like a farm or somewhere in nature. So Tiziana says, I have also been to Mexico, Tiziana. Two. So been, that's two. To Mexico, and the beaches are like paradise. I would love to go to Mexico, actually. I think Mexico is my next kind of big holiday destination. I've never been to Central America, but Mexico and Guatemala look incredible. So green, such a different culture. There are beaches, there's volcanoes, lakes, fantastic. where in Mexico did you go? I'm assuming it was like near Cancun. My camera is mirrored, so on this side. But yeah, I'd love to know. And also when. And hi, Anna Lucia. So hi, I'm Anna, and I live near Milan. Good. That's fine. I'm in Milan. Do you go to one of the schools in Milan, or do you go to a school just outside? When I hear the phrase paradise on earth, I think about a place where I went last summer, Umbria, a very quiet region. So just be careful with that spelling. Lots of people get this confused, but quiet, I-E-T, is with little noise, and quite, so I-T-E, not I-E-T, is a qualifier. Maybe that's not the correct word, but we can use it to make an adjective weaker. For example, it's quite busy. It's not so busy, but it's a bit busy. So Umbria, a very quiet region with less people. So again, less is a comparative. So probably we just say with few people, because we're not comparing it, unless we say with less people than in other places. And with castles. Okay, lovely. Beautiful landscapes and traditional food. That's true, actually. This list doesn't include food. But food is definitely important to my paradise. Anyway, I love to eat. I like to cook, but not all the time. So if on this island haven with no people, just me, maybe one chef as well. Maybe I just have one chef that can cook all of the cuisines. Federico, yes, the same as you said, somewhere completely relaxed. I prefer the mountains. Don't forget, we usually call the mountains plural because there's more than one. So even if you're only going to one mountain, we still say I'm going to the mountains, I'm staying in the mountains. I prefer the mountains instead of the sea. Or we can also just say to. I prefer something to something else. It's too crowded, the sea. Yeah, usually, not every sea, but lots of beaches do tend to have a lot of people. And Tiziana says mountain retreat. I'm not sure, Tiziana, if you're talking about the refuge conversation we had earlier or not. But yeah, mountain retreats, I would love that. Or somewhere with a spa. I think as well, I have lots of different paradises. I want to go to many places. I want to leave my house, mostly. Sometimes at the moment, Esselunga feels like paradise. So I think it also depends on your state of mind. So Anna Lucia says, the Maldives. So we always call this place plural. The Maldives are renowned for being idyllic. Yeah, I said this as well, although I think I said Mauritius by mistake, but I meant the Maldives, so the small islands off the coast of India. I have seen some photos on the internet and it looks like a paradise on earth, and I look forward to going there. Yeah, me too. Although, again, I never know if somewhere like this will be really boring. I don't know what there is to do on the Maldives. I know that they are really expensive. They have these pristine beaches, these amazing houses, but I don't know if they have any activities. I feel like they have to. Otherwise, people wouldn't go. But I love activities. So I don't know, maybe we can play some water sports or something there. And Tiziana, I think the atmosphere is the most important characteristic of a paradise. Don't worry about the typing errors. I make them all the time. But yeah. Okay, cool. I see that no one else really has commented on the last one, which is monuments, museums, tourist attractions. And I think probably because that's no one's idea of paradise. I don't think that anyone wants to visit a paradise as a tourist either. I think it's kind of like the dream place to live. But this is another question for all of you, actually. So not in terms of paradise, but where is your ideal place to live? Because not only is this more realistic, but also sometimes what we want from our everyday life is different to what we want from this idea of paradise. For example, my ultimate paradise, like I've mentioned, is somewhere really relaxed, somewhere really chilled out, really green. But for my everyday life, I don't like to be bored. I like to be in a city. I like to have other people and lots of events and activities around me. So yeah, maybe I wouldn't like to live in my paradise forever, but I'd like to go there for an extended holiday. So what about you? Would you like to live in your paradises forever, or do you have a different view? Okay. So moving on, you don't have to answer that question, but if you want to, you're more than welcome. We have a task. So we have some useful phrases that we can use to describe places kind of casually or colloquially, if anyone remembers from the beginning of the lesson. So what do the underlined words or phrases mean? I'm going to read them out. And if you have any ideas of what some of these words mean, please put the number of the phrase and write your definition to me. Or you can also put the number of the phrase and tell me if you have ever been to a place you would describe like this, or try to use some of the language if you think you can, and I'll let you know if it's correct or not. So number 1, we stayed in the heart of the city. Number 2, it was packed and vibrant, a bustling town. And notice for the pronunciation of that, I don't really pronounce the T in the word bustling. Number 3, the castle was vast and run down. Number 4, I'd never come across a place quite like it. Number 5, it was off the beaten track, tranquil and unspoilt. Number 6, I strolled past the palm trees lined up side by side along the beach. Number 7, there was too much to take in as we drove across the breathtaking landscape. And number 8, the mountains form a backdrop to the town. Okay. So Federico, answering my question. Thank you. So my ideal place is in the countryside because I grew up there. So we would just use the past simple. Grew, grown. Oh, grow, yeah, grew. Because I grew up there and I really love the life in the countryside, but for work, I think it would be difficult. It's easy to live in the city, it's true. I think for now, I want to live in the city, but probably when I'm older, I'd prefer to live somewhere with more space as well. More space, more peace. Tiziana tells us, so again, we just need the past simple here. We don't need to use, the present perfect. I have been. Yeah, because we're just talking about one time. So one time in the past, that's finished. So we can just use the past simple. So I went to Mexico 20 years ago for my honeymoon. Oh, lovely. And I stayed for 3 weeks visiting a lot of cities. That sounds amazing. That sounds really, really great. And just to clarify about when to use the present perfect and the past simple. Past simple for one specific event finished in the past. And we can use present perfect for experiences But then we would phrase it slightly differently. We wouldn't be talking about this specific time. We would just say, I've been to Mexico, or I've been to Mexico in the past. But because you're telling me about the specific time, and this event is now finished, we would use the past simple. So I went to Mexico. I hope that was clear. So Federico says for number 1, in the heart of a city means in the center. Exactly. So if you stay in the heart of somewhere, it's very lively, you're right in the middle, everything is around you. Number 2, like crowded and chaotic. Yeah, so if somewhere is packed, definitely. This is, I think, very British English. We say a place is packed if it's crowded. Vibrant is a word that we just mean. Vibrant can mean bright. Like if you have a very vibrant color, the color is very bright and deep. But vibrant also, I think, just means full of life. So it's a really nice word. You can describe a place as vibrant. You can describe a person as vibrant. I really like it, actually. And yeah, so Federico's also said chaotic. I guess bustling can kind of mean chaotic, can mean there are so many people, but it's also got quite a positive connotation. So chaotic can be positive. Usually it's probably a bit more negative. It depends on your outlook. But I would say that if somewhere is bustling, it's chaotic, but in a good way. Lots of people, etc. And it's really good ideas. Number 3, vast, big. Yes. There's a vast landscape, a vast building. It's very big. There's a lot of it. Oh, and lovely. Okay, so for my earlier question, Tiziana says, my ideal place to live is a little town with a lot of green. Yeah, I think that's really nice. Something peaceful, or somewhere peaceful. I always feel that everybody likes nature. It doesn't matter if you want to be in a city or if you want to be in the countryside. Even if you want to be in a city, I think people still really love and appreciate green spaces. Everyone wants to stay near a park, or I think also it's always really cool when you see those modern cities, but there are lots of like flowers and greenery. Where I live in Milan, in my neighborhood, almost everyone has flowers and plants in their windows, which is so nice. And of course, there's the Garibaldi area where you've got those big kind of tower blocks, those big buildings, but they are just full of plants and greenery all on the upside, all on the outside. And it's really cool. Okay, so Federico says, I don't know rundown. Does anyone else have a suggestion for what rundown can mean? Can anybody help him? Tiziana as well for number 1 in the center of the city, yes. Perfect, Federico. So to come across is to find something casually. It's really perfect. So if you say, I'd never come across a place quite like it, you say I've never seen a place like it. I've never been to a place like this before. Okay, and Lisa says dirty. Yeah, so if a place, this is for rundown. If a place is run down, it's kind of dirty, or it's just not been taken care of. If the castle was vast and run down, it was like really big, but it wasn't in its best condition. It's kind of just been left to decay and not be great anymore. Number 5, it was off the beaten track. Yeah, lovely. So Federico says, outside of the traffic, the city, etc. Yeah, exactly. Off the beaten track is, so a track is a place you can walk or drive on. And if you imagine a beaten track, it means it's been walked a lot. so many people have gone this way. So if something is off the beaten track, it's in a place where people haven't really traveled to before, because everyone is following the beaten track. Everyone is going the way the other people have gone. So off the beaten track is just, yeah, different. Not many tourists have been, if any. So we've got a few more pieces of vocabulary left. We have unspoilt. So you can probably guess this one by the context. You have strolled, which is also a great word. Too much to take in. And take in is a phrasal verb, which is really nice. We can use in many contexts. Breathtaking, and a backdrop. And this, I feel like number 8 is quite common to many cities in Italy. Italy is such a beautiful country. Definitely for someone who is not Italian. I know that in the UK, Italy is kind of a dream place for many British people because your landscape, I think having such a long country means that your landscape is so diverse and amazing, kind of like Chile or Argentina. So you have mountains everywhere, you have different seas surrounding you, you have some volcanoes, beaches, valleys, hills. It's a really nice place to be. So I don't know if you Italians appreciate it. I hope so. So unspoilt, for anyone wondering, is unruined. So not ruined, not destroyed, e.g. by people. Usually that's who we're talking about. Number 6, to stroll, is to take a slow and, enjoyable walk. We can say a leisurely walk, slow, leisurely walk. In cities, usually you don't stroll. You usually walk very quickly at high pace. But more in the countryside, you kind of enjoy your walk more, so you stroll. And as Federico said, side by side, they are near in a line. Yeah, so if something is standing side by side, people, items, it just means in a line or in a row next to each other. Number 7, too much to take in. Fantastic. So really great definitions, Federico. There is a lot of things, remember plural, to say. So to see, or to talk about. Yeah, and I think that's probably a better definition than I can give. So to take something in, remember when we have phrasal verbs, we have a verb and a preposition. And usually they have a completely different meaning to the main verb. So to take something in is just to really enjoy it, to absorb your surroundings, to look around at everything, to breathe in the atmosphere, etc. If there's too much to take in, then there's almost too much to look at. There are so many mountains and everything's so green that you can't decide which thing to focus on. Everything is amazing or everything is horrible, but usually it's more of a positive thing. Breathtaking, when something surprised you too much, but in the good way. Exactly. Perfect. So you can say something is breathtaking, or there's a longer phrase you can use, which means exactly the same. You can say the something, so in this case, the landscape took my breath away. Which you're like, wow, and you've got nothing to say about it because you're amazed. You're too busy looking. And number 8, a backdrop. Yeah, is the scenery. The scenery in the background. So this sentence is actually true of Milan. I used to live a bit in the north of Milan in one of the suburbs. And when I looked out my window, I could see the mountains if the day was really clear. So it was nice. And Ana Lucia, my ideal place to live is in the countryside with a huge garden and a lot of dogs near a little city where I can go and buy things that I need. Yeah, that's also a nice thing, to be near a city, just in case you want to take part in something, in case you want to go to an event, but not to be in the city. You know, you can still kind of go back to your house and yeah, for like a retreat. So yeah, I think maybe to finish, because I'm aware we're running out of time. Thank you guys so much for being so interactive and taking part. It's been lovely for me. We have a few questions now based on the language that we've just looked at. So yeah, feel free to answer these questions before we finish up. So have you ever been to a place that has breathtaking views, that is off the beaten track, that is a bustling town, that was quite unlike anything you had come across before, somewhere that is run down but magical, and somewhere in the heart of the countryside or of the city? So I can't answer all of these questions because my memory is just shockingly bad. But have I ever been to a place with breathtaking views? Actually, yes. I think one place that always stands out to me is in Wales. So if anyone knows the structure of the UK, Wales is in the west of the UK, connected to England. And I'm from the south. I'm from a city. It's okay. But I went to an area called Snowdonia, which, again, I'm sure you Italians will laugh at us, but we're not very mountainous in the UK. So this region of Wales has our version of mountains. And it's not off the beaten track. Many, many people go all the time to look at the landscape, to climb the mountains. But I thought it was so beautiful. And when you drive in, like, the roads are very windy and you go all around these mountains. But for me, it was breathtaking because I couldn't believe that I lived in the same land or on the same land as a place that looked like this, because I'd never seen anywhere in the UK look like that before. So Federica says, yes, I have. I'm probably going to pronounce this really badly, so sorry. Campo Imperatore is completely off the beaten track, is a vast field at the foot of a mountain. Okay, I'm going to Google this. Is this in Italy? Is this somewhere else? Let me know. And Tiziana, every time I go to Venice, I think it's breathtaking, I guess. The atmosphere is magic. Yeah, that's really nice. I went to Venice once years ago, but when I was a child, so I can't really remember. I would like to go back. And have you ever been anywhere that was unlike anything you had come across before? Again, I'm sure yes. I'm really sure yes, but I cannot think of where. As I mentioned earlier, I did a trip in Australia a few years ago, and at one point Australia also has quite a strange landscape because it's such a big country. It's, you know, a very large portion of Europe. So they also have some mountains, lots of beaches, etc. But they've also got lots of desert. So maybe going through, I'm not so familiar with the desert. I have been to deserts before, but not so much. So as an adult, I think it was one of the experiences I remember better of being in a desert. So that for me was quite unusual. It's in Abruzzo. Maybe I will try and go. Okay. So just a really, really quick summary then of the lesson before I sign off. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know and I'll try to answer them quickly. But in this activity, we had a conversation about what we think or what paradise means to us. If we've heard of places which are, idyllic or beautiful, what's important to us when it comes to a paradise, and how does that compare to where we would actually like to live? And then we just looked at some different kind of colloquial phrases we can use to describe, to describe places that you go on holiday or places around the world. So yeah, thank you again. It's been really fun for me giving this webinar, which I don't usually say when I'm alone. So I now have to go, but I hope you have really wonderful afternoons and yeah, good weekends. Bye bye.